Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back in another video, and today I am going to be giving you guys a review for Generation Selects G2 Megatron's upgrade kit that I had got from Larkin's Lair, which is a friend of the channel, and when I saw that he made the upgrade kit, I couldn't help myself, so I ordered a G2 Megatron for Generation Selects myself, simply because when I saw this one, I was like, I don't necessarily want it because I already have the Earthrise mold. But after seeing the upgrade kit, you're going to see why I decided to pick this bad boy up. Now, before I actually get into it, I do want to let you guys know, when I actually ordered this, like the day that he showed it off, and it took FedEx like forever. It just sat in New Jersey's, Trenton office for like ever before I finally got the box. Larkin lives in Hawaii, and he was able to send it to me, and I got it before FedEx was able to get me this from Big Bad Toy Store. So it goes to show you how wonderful certain shipping people can be. But I am eager to talk about this, so without further ado, let's sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchase some merch on my spring store today. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have G2 Megatron out of the packaging, and I decided to display him here with a comparison right away with my customized Siege Megatron and my Earthrise Megatron. And if you've already seen my review for Earthrise Megatron, you know I wasn't so pleased with this. And it had to do probably with the color scheme, the fact that it wasn't painted so well. But when I saw the G2 Megatron, I said, maybe it's okay. Because the head sculpt itself, if you really take a close look at it, it looks a lot more, to me, like G2 Megatron than the Earthrise color scheme does overall. The only thing, and if you guys remember also, is that I really couldn't stand this particular weapon. I think nobody really did. And the arm cannon itself doesn't work very well when it comes down to his, for G2, because if you're familiar with Generation 2 Megatron, this is not exactly how he was. And then what I ended up getting from Fire Talks, the accessory could plug into his back right here if I wanted to, and then I could take the peg and try and fit it in here. The problem is that because this is on a hinge, this doesn't work very well, and so even if you try to have this as a shoulder-mounted cannon, it doesn't work because this thing tends to snap off a lot very easily, and no matter how thick I've tried to, if I tried to dig that out, it wouldn't work so well as an accessory. So what we end up having here is this box that I had gotten from Larkin's Lair, and I'm very pleased with this thing, but I've only saw the images, so I don't know what he sent me in the mail, and it looks like it has all of the accessories there, and it seems he was kind enough to send me a couple of different options, including Cheetor's gut gun, which I'm probably going to have to paint. And then, of course, you have the cannon itself. So let's get all of these out of the packaging. And you can see there's a whole bunch of parts overall, and I'm going to have to assemble them. Now, before I actually go ahead and do that, I'm going to move that out of the way, and I want to give you guys a quick comparison to Generation 2 Megatron to his actual G2 toy. Let me actually get that in frame, and you can see the big size difference. The whole storyline behind this Generation 2 Megatron, how he was rebuilt as a whole, happened in the Marvel Comics. After the original Transformers comics came to a close, they decided to use G.I. Joe as a crossover event. And so here I have Starscream holding Megatron in gun accessory mode. And Megatron himself, after the events of the Marvel Comics, transformed into gun mode and was flying around blasting a Cobra base until I think her name was Dr. Smith Biggles, or someone is obviously going to correct me on that one. She blasted Megatron with a railgun, which heavily damaged him, and he wanted that weapon bad. So he had Cobra rebuild Megatron into his Generation 2 tank with that railgun that he was blasted with on his shoulder. Now, the actual toy itself has a whole bunch of really cool labels, and I took the batteries out, and I know if you press on here, it says Megatron Attack, and has sound effects for him to, actually fire. Yes, fires his missiles, and it could go up and down if you wanted to. So when they decided to make G2 Megatron for the Generation Selects out of the Earthrise mold, I was like, man, I'm a little disappointed because, well, he doesn't have a shoulder-mounted cannon. You can't quite get this on his shoulder, and you just have to make do with where you make do. Now, to load, of course, it's just kind of a semi-review of G2 Megatron as a whole, so you can kind of see how that one works. But I'm going to move him off to the side because we are going to assemble the parts. And I don't necessarily need Cheetor's gun for this review. I'm going to need to open up the Netflix Cheetor and actually give this to him so that he has a weapon. Now, one of the things that I didn't show you there was Megatron himself had a blaster that he came with, and mine kind of fell into the bin, so I'm not going to dig that cannon out. But Megatron had a handheld weapon in G2, in the actual G2 toy, so I'm actually going to give him that blaster. And then we are going to start the assembly of this, and it is 3D printed, but Larkin actually does a really good job when it comes down to these model kits, and it kind of gives you something really cool to go with. And I believe that this goes in like so. Yep, it can only go in one way. So there actually is a slot there, a little groove, and this way that the groove itself is where the cannon is supposed to assemble. You are then supposed to take the rough edges part of the cannon edge and put that together like so. So what you're going to actually do is, because of the way that this pegs into the back of Megatron, you are going to assemble it like so, and goes in like this. And once it's clipped in, this actually gives you the gun that you want, and the idea is that the whole thing can move around so that it in transformation. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to take this on the back of Megatron, and we're going to peg this on his back like so, and then bring it down and put Megatron like this. And there you have Megatron fully assembled in with his new shoulder cannon. And let me tell you something, this brings me back to Generation 2 when the original toy came out, and that shoulder cannon can now go up and down, and he can fire on Autobots, and of course it is Blast Effects compatible. So we're going to take a Blast Effects here and place it in. It's a little tight, and literally, quite literally, if you guys watch MGO, of course, watch him bloosh, right? So Megatron can fire on the Autobots because he likes to destroy them. The other cool thing here, if you're familiar with the original toy, again, this is the lamp, and I believe that's what it is. Goes right into the side there, gives him his full completed look. And then there are these extra pieces that Larkin sent me for options, and they are parts that could be used either on G2 Megatron, or could be used on Siege Megatron, or could be used on Earthrise Megatron, of course, because it's all the same mold, at least as far as the arms are concerned. And you can just easily peg them in if you want to, which I'm having a wonderful time doing on camera. And they would slide right in, and then you would pull them out to use. He had some difficulty and some print failures with these ones here, that when they go in, they're basically permanent. And so this will go into the bottom of his arm and give you a transforming wrist. So you don't necessarily have to worry about, you know, transforming him. You can actually fold this in, and once that's in, you tab this out the other way, and that is your other option to do with this Megatron. And I think that's how I'm going to do it. I know it's not necessarily supposed to be like this with the purple. You know, who knows, you can paint it if you want to, or you can just leave it as it is. But I do like the idea of self-transforming, and I mean, like transforming and never having to take it apart, because you can use these other parts and they go in, but when they do, you're going to have to, in vehicle mode, like kind of tab them into here for storage. And whereas this actually gives you the ability to have Megatron's forearms fully covered, and I think that's an awesome idea. So let's do this. Let's actually put G2 Megatron here to the side. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in Earthrise Megatron, and I'm going to use the gray tab just so you can see how the gray tab fits in and works well with his Earthrise mold as well. And you can see how good that looks. That looks a lot better, you know, and I think I'm going to keep this on the Earthrise Megatron. I may actually use this on the Siege one, because here's the thing. I don't necessarily want to have to go through all the trouble of customizing my Earthrise one, and then watch. They're going to end up releasing this mold, the Earthrise G2 Megatron, one more time with a more cartoon-accurate head sculpt, and we're going to all pay for it. And you know that Hasbro is going to do that. So, yeah, that's right. I'm kind of giving them ideas. And but I really, really like this shoulder cannon for G2 Megatron. Now, for comparison, one more time, here is actual G2 Megatron in robot mode, standing next to the Generation Selects toy, and you can see the size comparisons of them. And if you wanted to see who actually built G2 Megatron's body, there is hooded Cobra Commander, just like we saw in the Marvel Comics. And it's well known that Megatron was not pleased about reviving Starscream, and they were both voiced by Chris Latta. Both Starscream and Cobra Commander were voiced by Chris Latta, and of course you had Frank Welker voicing Megatron. So basically here I've got Megatron, Megatron, to both Chris Latta, Cobra Commander, Starscream. And what would be Megatron if he didn't have his other subordinates? Here is Generation Selects Nightbird and Netflix Soundwave with Laserbeak standing tall. And you can see how great they look together. And trying to stop Megatron from conquering the world, here is Earthrise Optimus Prime holding Firetox's American flag accessory. And I also have here Studio Series Grimlock with his teeth. Okay, so I have him in vehicle mode now, and I did this because like I've already done the transformation on Earthrise and on Siege before, so you can kind of see the differences between them. And as far as the tank is concerned, he looks okay, but this is just with the original accessory. And the whole idea behind this entire kit is that you're replacing this tank turret here, which kind of just gets in the way, and you could still use, if you wanted to, the panel there, but I'm not really a big fan of it. At least, I mean, I know I had a hard time doing it on the Earthrise mold just as much, and so like I wish that this was easier to get in there, but you could still use it in you know, with this whole kit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the tank turret like this, and that's the whole idea, is that it replaces it. And we're going to place that right, just like so. And then there you go. You have G2 Megatron, and we can just place these to the side. And as far as this blaster is concerned, it can either plug onto the top, but I kind of like it with the extra port that's on the other side here, and that kind of gives him a more complete tank look, I think. And he still has the same posability as far as being able to turn his turret, which is something that the original G2 could not do. And I think it looks a lot better than the Earthrise mold. I wish this was a better color scheme. I really, really do. And of course, then I have my customized Siege Megatron, which you can see I have with a bunch of Toy Hacks labels and paint and everything else that I've done to that one, so you can see the actual comparison between all three. So let's bring in the big bad boy there. There is the original G2 Megatron next to the Generation Selects in tank mode, and you can see how big and massive this tank was, but the whole thing was that this midsection here could not turn, whereas you can still, even with the accessory, which is fantastic. The only thing I'm probably going to end up doing is probably going to paint this, but I wish that something like Big Stick and all of these different cool labels could be done for the tank itself. On G2 Megatron, maybe Toy Hacks will come up with some label kit sometime in the future. Of course, you gotta have Megatron riding into battle alongside his ninja assassin Nightbird, his air commander Starscream, and for a little extra fun, Soundwave in cassette player mode, riding along top of Starscream, just like Blaster did on top of Bumblebee in the episode Quest for Survival. And another comparison, of course, is Earthrise or Kingdom Optimus Prime with Toy Hacks labels, paint, and the non-F parts to see a nice little comparison between the two. And for a little fun, here's Megatron blasting Studio Series 86 Grimlock with the Godzilla vs. Biollante NECA Godzilla charging in the background there. Now, overall, I honestly think that with this upgrade kit, this makes the best use of the Earthrise mold in comparison, especially considering with that shoulder-mounted cannon. The only thing is that with the upgrade kit, at least my copy, is that maybe I might need to take a blade and kind of cut a piece over here because his gun doesn't go all the way down on his wrist. But other than that, he is a phenomenal figure now with this add-on kit. It almost seems like it was incomplete without it. And I really want to give a shout out again. Thank you to Larkin's Lair for making this. I'm going to leave a link in the description to his Etsy store in the description so you can get notified when he does restock them, because it takes him a while to produce them. And it is worth it if you have G2 Megatron. But I want to know what you guys think. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have many more Transformers discussions, retrospectives, reviews, and more coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned for all that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.